Hello, and welcome to the Graveyard Media Podcast, episode 56 for the week of September 3rd, 2018. I'm your host, Zane Gray. With me is Dawson.
No, wait, I'm not ready. Introduce Phil first.
And
What?
Phil.
What? I'm not ready either. Introduce Dawson first.
Oh, shit.
Hi, who said first? Hey.
I'm Dawson. Hi.
Oh, right, yeah. I'm Phil. Hi.
No one's ever ready for this. Let's be real.
No one's ever ready for the Graveyard Media Podcast.
Nobody expects the Graveyard Media Podcast.
We have it every
exactly
week
4
at the
o'clock
same
on Monday.
I
And
never
I'll-
asked
and
for
I'll-
this.
Yeah. All right.
All right, so we're going to start off by talking about games and probably not games, but movies and
What's a
shows
video
we've
game?
seen. Talk about what we've checked out this week. And then after the break, we're going to do news.
What little there is, as
Yeah.
usual.
Less so than
Some.
usual, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty dry this week.
Yeah.
I feel like movie news has like enough. Like usually we have like a lot more gaming news than we have movie news, but movie news this week does have like a normal amount. You know what I'm saying?
Understandable.
You forgot to
Oh,
change
shit.
the game on Twitch.
Oh, shit.
Oh shit. You have to change
Uh,
the game on Twitch. It's just not working anymore. People aren't interested anymore. We gotta fucking shake it up.
Well, I'm pretty sure we're not Path of Exile right now, so.
That is one thing that I want to talk about, but that's not all of it, so.
Yeah. And
Do
I
you
can
wanna
talk a little
start
bit
off?
about the new Hollow Knight.
Do I want to
Well-
start off?
well-
Yeah, why don't you
Dawson, you wanna
start
start
off
off
with
with
Path
Path?
of Exile, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Motherfucker. I
Um,
still ain't ready, bitch. Get your fucking shit together and talk about Path of Exile Delve.
Well, Path of Exile Delve.
He
Sorry,
wasn't ready.
I wasn't ready. So, Path of Exile Delve. That is the new league, new expansion. They're calling leagues expansions now instead of just leagues.
Because they're doing like different things with it.
Because they're doing such different things with it. For
Oh, yeah.
example, Path of Exile Delve's main mechanic is an infinite procedurally generated dungeon in which it is very dark, and if you're in the dark, you die. So,
When
in
you
order
say
to combat
it's-
this,
The darkest dungeon?
I would not say it's the darkest dungeon. That award goes to darkest dungeon. Sane, can
I
you
don't
can
know.
you try to update the broadcast things because they're not changing for me?
Okay.
Um,
I don't have it open, but.
So, in Delve, you have a cart, which is powered by Thaumatic Sulfite, which you have, or Voltaxic Sulfite. Thaumatic Sulfite is infernal,
Is
it's
this
just
a com-
talcum
is-
powder.
Yeah,
Completely
it's
different.
a slightly
thing.
different
It's
thing.
not
yeah.
not even close to the same thing. One is Thaumatic and one is Voltaxic. Neither of which of those I know even what it means.
One
so-
was mined by Chittis in the mines of this place, and the other was mined by some guy in a hoodie
in the Delve mines.
in the Delve mines.
So the point is that you have to collect Voltaxic Sulfite on the surface, the normal game and maps and whatnot, to power up your cart to allow you to delve into certain nodes. You can go either to the sides of the map, which will stay at the same power level essentially, or you can continue to push your way deeper downwards into the map, which the monsters will get stronger, the darkness will get stronger, etc. In order to combat the darkness and stuff getting stronger, you have to collect a resource called Azurite from the mines, which is very easy to find. You just go to an Azurite node and you get some, and upgrade your cart and your darkness resistance, the light radius of your cart, etc., etc. It's really neat. I haven't gone as far in it as I would like to. But so far I'm really enjoying the delve mechanics. Any infinite procedurally generated dungeon is really cool. There's also flares, which you can kind of use to go off of the path of your cart, so you can like throw down a flare and you'll have like protection from the darkness for a little bit. And then there are like walls that you can blow up with dynamite that reveal secret loot rooms. It's really well put together. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bugs with it, but I don't think that Grinding Gear Games has a very large quality assurance team, because there's always bugs at the beginning of the league, and then within a week they're patched. Like, they've already patched out 5 or 6 glaring bugs that everybody's been complaining about, and it's been out for maybe 3 days.
Yeah.
So,
Huh.
so they're pretty good about following up with the league's release, but they always screw up on the day of release.
And it doesn't surprise me too much because they're still like kind of a small like Australian game company.
They're owned by Tencent. They're not a
Oh.
small company anymore.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You can
They
just
are,
still be
yeah.
a small company owned by Tencent.
Yeah.
Okay, understandable. They are planning more content in 3.5, not necessarily for Delve specifically, but they're planning on updating the Forsaken Masters, which is a system that's been in the game for years now and is just kind of shitty and nobody likes it. My thought is they're going to be adding Nico, which is the new the new NPC that helps you through Delve. Alvavalia, who was the Incursion NPC, and probably Einhar, who was the Bestiary NPC. Like, these last 3 leagues have all had NPCs that were tied specifically to the mechanics of the league, whereas before it was just like, oh, sometimes this will spawn for no reason. And this one, like, each of these last 3 leagues have had like a story tied to them and an NPC that helps you through stuff. So I think that they're using that to build up to their release of updating the Forsaken Masters and adding in new masters and stuff.
And I want to point out that the Forsaken Masters are only trash in comparison to the rest of everything. When they came out, they were pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. Problem is they're just a slog to grind through every single league.
Oh
so
yeah.
That's the only problem with them. Yeah, I haven't gotten to this point yet, but they also updated the map master already, Xana. It used to be she would generate a random map for you once a day to do mission. Now you can select from a pool of maps that she has, which can be really cool because it basically gives you a better chance to get one of the unique maps that only she can give you.
Yeah. And also, she lowered the amount of those dumbass fucking time missions that I hate a lot.
Oh yeah, if you can't do timed missions, then you can just not select a timed mission.
Hell yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I miss your Russian version of you, but this is good.
So I might probably have more to say about it next week once I like get to mapping and the actual end game of the Delve stuff, but as it stands right now, I'm really enjoying it. I think it's pretty fun. Maybe wait a week or two if you're iffy on the league, just because they're already working on some of the issues and quality stuff about the leagues. They've patched out a bunch, like I said. So maybe after a week or so, if you want to start up the league, it's probably going to be a lot better than it is right now.
Well, it's not like you have to buy the game, so
yeah, exactly. Like if
exactly.
you don't, if you could just try it now, and if you don't like it, just try it again later.
yeah. So, what about you, Phil? What do you got? What do you got for us this week?
I got 2 things actually. The first thing is I finally, after fucking 2 weeks of saying I was gonna get around to it, I finally watched Upgrade, and it was a lot of fun. I liked it a lot.
What's
I
Upgrade?
Okay, so
That was a movie that I saw a while ago.
Yeah.
Nothing much. What's Upgrade with you?
That joke's not funny. Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So Sane did see it a while ago. It's a movie about a guy who lives in a cyberpunk future, and he gets into a car crash because the car messed up, and then he becomes a paraplegic. His wife is dead. He wants revenge, and he has nothing he can do about it until some eccentric billionaire puts a chip into his spine that turns him into a Cyberman that can beat people up really good because the chip is a computer and is good at calculating what people are going to punch at him.
Like Inspector Gadget?
Yeah.
Except not completely incompetent.
Yeah, except not completely incompetent. In fact, the exact opposite of that.
Too competent.
Yeah,
It's like Inspector Gadget if they put the dog's brain in his body.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But yeah, it was a lot more cyberpunk than I had expected, which was wonderful, and I was super happy. The reason that I decided to like actually get down and watch this was because I watched the Cyberpunk 20, the new Cyberpunk trailer, and I was like, wow, that was really good. I want some more of that shit. So I watched Upgrade and was like, wow, this is exactly what I wanted. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous. Is one of the biggest things. Like, a lot of things that people say, like certain people will say about things. It's like all of these visuals and acting and blah 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 were in service of kind of a mess script. The script was very much in service of the everything else, which was fucking fantastic. The action was great. The script was pretty good. It wasn't terrible or anything. It wasn't like the best. It definitely had like a very like surprising ending for as I would say streamlined as the script was, which was really nice. But again,
yeah, for as straightforward the story was, it kind of managed to still play with your expectations a little bit.
yeah,
So that was good.
Fun. But yeah, visually gorgeous. I loved all of the designs of the world. Everything looked really pretty. Everything looked really, really fun. Like Sane was talking about in the previous, when he talked about it, the camera work was really, really good. It did like this sort of stabilization thing where it just like the camera focused specifically on the guy. Like he was always center frame and like it moved around with him. Whenever like specifically like there are points in time where the robot would take over and he would like fight things and like it would be you would know about that because of the visuals. It would immediately switch to that stabilized cam and just like watch him beat the crap out of people.
The cinematography was probably my favorite thing about the film.
Oh,
it was so interesting how they had like choreographed the fight scenes. So
yeah,
like and the dude felt like he was a guy controlled by a computer.
Yeah,
he especially right at the beginning.
Yeah, the acting was really, really good, especially with the main dude. I was surprised by that. I'm happy with all of the things. Very well made movie. If you want a good cyberpunk action movie where a dude beats the shit out of some guys who killed his wife, upgrade. Go watch it. It's fun.
I think at this point in time, it might be my favorite movie this year so far.
I don't know if I would put it that high. I think.
I mean, you don't have to. That's just my opinion.
Oh, yeah, that's understandable. I think it's like maybe 5th on mine so far. I don't know. I have like a list. I sort of put things on a list so I can like keep track so I don't have to keep track of it in my brain. So yeah.
We'll probably talk about that more towards the end of the year when we start talking about some of our favorite things this year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's usually what we do.
Yeah. The next thing I did was I played a little bit of the new Hollow Knight stuff. Godwoken is a fun expansion to Hollow Knight that I actually kind of like a little bit more than the last 2 expansions.
Good.
Or, well, the last 3 if you count the Lifeblood update in which they added a new boss and new graphics that look pretty. Godwoken is basically like a boss rush mode, and also you can fight all of the other bosses. And also, if you want to get some of the new endings, you have to beat every boss in the game without getting hit once, and then you get to kill the Super Radiants, the biggest fucking asshole in the game, but even stronger this time. Because fuck you. Which is that great.
Is that the DLC? Is that the whole thing?
Yeah, but yeah, a little bit. There's I think they added like 2 new bosses, which was nice.
Okay.
2 new bosses to like the map, or 2 bosses to the boss rush mode?
Just to the world in general. They just
okay.
pepper them out. There's one in like Green Path and one somewhere else. I don't remember where it is. Also you can fight the Nail Masters, which is fun. But yeah. This is the big boss mode.
Boss rush modes are probably my least favorite game, or like game modes in most games.
Oh no.
I'm not really super invested in that.
Okay. In this game, I really feel like it works because like the boss fights are like my favorite thing about this game.
Right.
Well, I mean, in most like Metroidvania style games, a lot of the boss fights are fun, and there's been boss rush modes in a lot of even older Castlevania games. But I'm not really. I don't know. It's never been my thing. I get why people like it. I just personally.
Yeah, I would rather play the whole game.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably have to get the boss rush mode anyway.
But... you have to at least get to the Coliseum of Fools because there's something you have to get like from some asshole who keeps running away from you to be able to unlock it. Very literally, you have to get a key.
Didn't you say that you have to beat the Trial of Fools?
No, you do not. You need to go to like a like a back room.
Okay.
But yeah, you don't actually have to beat the Trial of Fools. But yeah. You do have to beat the Trial of Fools because there is the final boss of the Trial of Fools is one of the bosses that you can unlock. Because you have to beat all of the bosses, and then you can fight them in the boss rush mode and like the super versions of them.
I see.
Because all of the bosses do have like a stronger version of them where they do it. Where the mechanics don't change, but they do like 2 damage, and then they have the murder version of them where you can't get hit once, and killing them with the murder version of them puts a little notch on a door, and unlocking the super radiance, which if you can unlock that...
Oh, so you don't have to kill them all in a row without getting hit once.
Oh, no, you just have to kill them all without getting hit once, yeah.
That would be fucking sadistic if you had to do the entire boss rush mode without getting hit once through the whole thing or start over.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought that's what I thought you were getting at too, but
nah, you can thankfully this game is very forgiving. You can retry everything as many times as you want, but they'll beat the shit out of you. Which is nice. Yeah. Godwoken is pretty cool. And of course they teased the thing that they're going to release, the Hornet playthrough in Godwoken, which is
nice.
Which is exciting, and I am very excited for that because that means I'll get to go through the game as Hornet.
I have a question. If you play the game from the beginning, right? With like just from the very start, fresh save, will the Godwoken content be scattered throughout your playthrough, or will you basically have to beat the game before hitting?
Here's the thing about all of the DLCs, right? All of the DLCs are scattered throughout the game and you'll find them as you go on. So like if you're a new player, now's the fucking time to get on it because all the stuff is in there now.
Right.
Because if you've beaten the game already, it's almost a little bit annoying. You have to well, you have to run around and do like 15 different things. Whereas like if you were just playing it normally, you would go up in like the Howling Cliffs, find this little weird cave, go in there, find some bug that looks like it's dead, dream nail it, and like you have now unlocked the fucking the Grim Troop has now arrived. What? Cool. Yeah.
What's the Grim Troop? But okay.
Yeah, if you play on like normally you have to, I gotta look up where do I unlock the Grim Troop. Okay, all right, so I have to go back to Howling Cliffs and then dream nail this thing. Okay, so it's like
well, it's cool that they've been releasing a bunch of free expansions.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, I still need to put more time into Hollow Knight, but I just haven't felt like it or had the time.
Yeah,
because of other stuff.
Yeah,
because sometimes they can take a while, especially like if you're stuck on a boss.
Well, I mean, I barely started, but
oh, okay. Well,
yeah, I found out the other day that I was stuck in a location where I basically should have not been in the first place.
Yeah.
I was at the place like right before the White Palace where you basically have to have the fucking wall jump shit.
You weren't before the White Palace. The White Palace is like in like a deeper location than you are. Where you were is you were in like the City of Tears, like in the first time you go into the City of Tears. And you were fighting the boss where it was very, very expected because you already went to the Fungal Wastes and you went to the Mantis Village, right? And what you were supposed to do in the Mantis Village, and I screwed up this a little bit too. You were supposed to find the wall hang in there, and you didn't find that. And also, there's a boss there that you can fight too, the Mantis Lords.
I was supposed to have those.
Yeah, I didn't fight the Mantis Lords until like way after. Like I was already in like I had already had most of the map completed by the time I fought the Mantis Lords.
Right.
So, like, I went into them and was, like, super overpowered and beat their butts without even having to try. Because I was like, oh, wait, there were things I was supposed to kill down there? There were a boss down there? Oh, shoot. I didn't do that.
Right.
Oh, there's a new entrance to Deepnest down here that I didn't know about. Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, see, like, I didn't even have the wall hang, so I was like...
Yeah, that would be a problem. And you can, like, beat the boss without it, but
it's hard.
You probably should have it at this point.
I was just like, oh, I can't fight these mantises. I'll just go find a different place to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my experience with Hollow Knight. I should play it more though.
Yeah. It's a very good game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can recognize that for sure.
I just wish it had more Castlevania and less Metroid in it.
Right.
All right. What are we talking about next?
Well, that was all I had.
Have you got anything, Zane?
Yeah, I could talk a little bit about Mob Psycho.
Okay.
Mob Psycho 100.
Yeah.
If my cat doesn't try to scratch me.
There's a mosquito in here.
Cat's like, no.
I'm like
Mob
trying to
Psycho.
type and he's like biting me. Ow. Quit it. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know how much I have to say about this really. I really liked the animation in it because you could tell it was adapted from like a webcomic because
Right.
a lot more so than One Punch Man. It did a good job of like taking very, I don't know, like comic booky inspiration especially during fight scenes and stuff.
Right.
I thought that overall the story was more interesting to me, and it's not that One Punch Man was boring or anything, but
Got the best.
there wasn't much going on in that show. It was just kind of like, you know, he goes and fights a villain today, or he
Yeah.
stays home and doesn't fight a villain today.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And you know, Mob Psycho actually had like a kind of a sort of an emotional plot arc for a couple of the characters, so there was kind of more to pay attention to.
Right.
He has, so the main character Mob is very much like Saitama, like crazy overpowered in the world he's in.
Is he a psycho?
He is a psychic,
Oh, okay.
or he's an Esper, I guess.
Psycho
technically.
Mantis.
An Esper technically, because that's
That's
a
my favorite
thing in
Pokemon.
Japan. Yeah, I don't even know. Like, it's the American equivalent of it would probably just be a psychic with telekinesis powers, right?
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. The main character has like a mentor guy who's like helping him learn how to use his powers, except it's very obvious that he's just kind of like a con man and has no powers at all, but he's like
Right.
he's like a charisma mancer.
Good.
One of the kind of funniest parts is in the like 2-part finale of the series, or of this season, because I think only the first season's out. He sort of just walks up to the villain's hideout and is like, "Hey, I need to go in there. My employee works in there." Because his mentor, he's also has like a part-time job at this guy's psychic shop or whatever.
Right.
And then like he convinces everyone that was standing at the door that he's the boss of this like criminal organization. He's not the boss of just one person, he's the boss of everyone. So he just walks in and convinces everyone to just walk in with him.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty crazy.
That sounds like how Thel plays video games.
I think,
that's
like,
exactly how I play video games.
Watching the show is like, I was really thinking, man, Thel should watch this just because he needs to see this character.
I kind of want to. I'm at least a little bit interested in it.
Yeah, it has a lot of the best qualities of One Punch Man without kind of some of the downsides to me with One Punch Man. So I did like it better. And yeah, I don't know, the guy who did the comics that this was based off apparently really liked overpowered characters, and that was like his thing.
Sounds like a lot of anime people.
Well, no, most anime have a character
like,
who just is barely stronger than the situation he's in consistently.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Whereas
Whereas
is
this show is just straight up like the main character is the most powerful character in the show, and in Saitama's case he's bored by it, and in Mob's case he just doesn't care. Like there's a whole episode about how he's trying to get into shape because he wants to be able to rely on his physical body, and he doesn't really care about his psychic powers because they won't make him popular.
Huh.
That's neat.
Yeah, so and that's the thing. When you're writing overpowered characters, they have to have some relatable feature to them. Whereas
now I see why you're comparing it. I didn't realize that Mob Psycho and One Punch Man were written by the same person.
Really?
The
didn't
original
know anything about
webcomic,
that.
yeah, it was straight up.
Yeah.
I think they might have been adapted by different teams. I'm not sure about that, but
Maybe.
But yeah,
Even the art styles look really, really similar.
Mhm.
yeah, but Mob
Like-
Psycho's
like
art
Mob
style's a
Psycho-
bit better.
Oh yeah, like Mob Psycho. Like Mob himself just looks like a like Saitama with a wig on.
A little bit. I think
Jesus Christ, he does.
his
In
eyes
fact,
look a
I've
little bit
seen-
bigger though.
I've
Yeah.
seen Mob before, and I thought it was. I thought it was
character
some
from-
fucking One Punch Man special or something.
Yeah. So Mob Psycho, very similar. I would recommend it maybe more so than One Punch Man, but I think One Punch Man is kind of sort of in this special place where it's hitting a lot of buttons for different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
And
understand
I like
why.
One Punch Man for completely different reasons than you guys like and or are kind of on it.
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, I don't know. Mob Psycho I think is a better story, but
Okay.
there's so much going on, like in One Punch Man, like it just kind of has a lot of things going for it that are kind of mainstream popular right now.
Right.
So I think that has a lot to do with it, and the fight choreography in both shows are pretty good. So
Yeah.
I definitely recommend it. So, especially if you liked One Punch Man. If you liked One Punch Man, you'd probably like Mob Psycho. Like, I don't really
Okay.
see that not carrying over. So,
Right.
I don't know.
See, I didn't really know anything about Mob Psycho, like almost at all. I just kind of. This is gonna sound bad,
Mhm.
'cause I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but I just kind of heard the name, and it invoked feelings of like
The Godfather.
old ass, super edgy anime. Like I don't know.
Oh, like
Oh,
like
like
Psychopaths
Death
or
Note.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Or like
yeah,
like
okay, I know what
Death
you mean.
Note or Psychopaths or like some
Elfen
kind
Lied.
of yeah,
Yeah.
Wolf's Rain, like some kind of dystopian. This character's a crazy fucker kind of thing, and I
He's
didn't
got
even.
7 different types of schizophrenia.
Yeah,
He's gonna
exactly. And
Fuck
so
you up.
I just heard the name and I was like, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
When
But now that I know that it's
when I first heard about it, I thought it was a mob story or something.
his
I
guy's
didn't.
name is just Mob.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah, so the name
Not even his name. His nickname is Mob. Like that's not
Oh.
even the character's name. Half the characters don't even call him by that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So like the naming maybe could use some work. If that's not what it is at all, then that's actually much more interesting to me, especially if I know that. Yeah, like I think I like One Punch Man the most out of the three of us, and
Probably.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't dislike it. And actually, I do really like it. I just don't. There are other anime that had more emotional weight to me, and that's why I'm interested in them.
Right.
Yeah.
Other ones that even had really good fight choreography. So I don't know.
Mhm.
Like
My Hero, I would say I like My Hero
Yeah.
Academia more than One Punch
Yeah.
Man for sure. Like it's just got so much more going for it.
even as a complete package, I would say that I like One Punch Man more than something like Dragon Ball.
Mm-hmm.
But Dragon Ball has a special place in my heart because it was basically everyone's first anime. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
that and like Sailor Moon were like the two.
Yeah.
Pokemon maybe.
I don't.
Most people
don't know
don't
if I
consider
even count-
Pokemon an anime.
Yeah, I don't even know if
Yeah.
I count Pokemon exactly. It is an anime. Like I'm not gonna say it's not an anime because it is, but
Yeah, but people
what we
don't,
got
like,
was kind of a really adapted version of it in the first
Mhm.
place,
Yeah.
and it doesn't follow a lot of anime conventions anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Pokemon is Pokemon. It's its own weird sort of deal.
yeah,
Mhm.
and that's kind of Pokemon is Pokemon, kind of in everything it's involved in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like a what we got with Pokemon, or even like Yu-Gi-Oh, which was what the kids moved on to after they got too old for Pokemon. They're both just like
They just
super
like 'em both.
Americanized. Yeah, or that
Yeah.
super. But the point is, they're both like super Americanized versions of the source
Yeah, I don't
material.
even
I guess,
know
so.
about that because I think Yu-Gi-Oh is even more of an anime than Pokemon was.
Yeah. But I feel like at the time I didn't think of Yu-Gi-Oh as an anime. I just was like, oh, a new cartoon. Whereas
Yeah.
I definitely knew that Dragon Ball was an anime, right?
Mm.
Stuff like Dragon Ball or Big O or Ghost in the Shell, you
God, I
could
love
look at
Big
that and
O.
be like anime, whereas you would look at I think it's
Even Big
maybe
O
the
almost
mature-
looks like it's a cartoon with how it's drawn and
It-
colored. They kind of have this lineless style thing going on in Big O.
Okay, for a long time when I was a child, I thought that Big O and Batman were in the same universe.
That's not your fault at all, because Toonami advertised the crap out of them. Like, there was this whole Heroes Wear Black advertisement thing for those two shows.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah. So actually,
Ah.
that's not at all surprising to me, because like those two shows were advertised together and ran in the same block together for a long time.
Okay.
Um,
Plus, I'm pretty sure the main character of Big O just looks like he's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, not his jaw is not square enough, but
he just needs a couple more fucking.
He doesn't-
just
he
a
doesn't
couple
have-
more millimeters.
he doesn't have that Bruce Tim square head thing going on the same way.
Yeah. The art style looks very similar to Batman Beyond. I think that's what it is the most.
I don't know.
that.
Well, I guess I could
It's
see
less-
that more, but I
It's less
still would
dark,
say
but like the like line shaping, the shaping on the characters and stuff like that.
I don't know, because I think that even like Batman Beyond is closer than I would say regular Batman animated series is, but
Mhm.
I think that characters in Batman Beyond are so much more angular than in Big O.
I don't know. Big O's pretty pointy. I'm looking at a picture right now.
I mean, maybe the main dude's design, but the whole cast as a group, I would not say is that similar. Whereas basically everyone at Batman Beyond were pointy, and when he was in his bat suit, he was just made of triangles. So,
Yeah, okay. That's
so I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
Also,
So
on that point though, I did want to say something we didn't put in the news. Batman the Animated Series is getting a HD restoration.
Oh yeah.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I remember that. It looks pretty good, but I don't like.
That does scare me a little bit though, because
I saw
like-
like a side by side of the intro, right?
yeah.
I have like mixed feelings about it because on one hand, like it looks good. It looks updated. The HD version looks nice and clean. And when I say clean, I don't mean cleaned of the art style. I mean cleaned of like the VHS jaggies, right?
Right.
But part of the charm also like part of the memories come from those old ass cable broadcast jaggies, right? So
Okay, well, I think that I get what you're saying, but I don't think it's the aliasing or that jaggies. I don't think that's what it is. I think what it is, and this is, I haven't even seen it, but this is what my worry would be going into it, is the way that Batman was animated was it was animated on black celluloid, which is the opposite of basically every other cartoon. Most cartoons are done on white celluloid. So that's, for one, why Batman is just darker than basically every other cartoon you've ever seen.
right.
It's because it's like animated in reverse, kind of. But what happens is when you stack white celluloid, and you see this especially on things like Scooby-Doo, because that was like an older kind of budget one. You kind of get this like sort of washed out look to it.
Mhm.
And you kind of get that in reverse with Batman, whereas, like, when things are
The more
stacked
you
on,
stack it, it
yeah,
gets
when things are stacked, it creates this like very kind of interesting washed out black thing going on, where it's like sort of, it almost has like a bloom on it. So you would kind of get, I think you would lose some of the aesthetic if you went through and cleaned it so all of the blacks were black. You
Right.
know?
Right.
So like kind of what I was saying, I just had
Yeah.
the wrong reasoning for it.
Yeah. So I don't know, it's kind of like cleaning up film. Like,
Right.
it's not that you want that kind of low quality stuff. It's more that there are side effects of some of the aesthetics happening.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, if you've ever seen like the remaster of Predator, it doesn't look super good. There's some bits that it looks like really, really bad.
Right.
You can tell that they did the remaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll have to see it, and honestly, it's probably not that bad because like
Oh yeah.
by the time we got to like Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, they were like well into using digital animation at that point, and it looks
Right.
fine. But
Yeah.
there,
Even,
I don't
like,
know.
Scenes with particularly Batman looked, pretty good. And you
Also-
still kind of got that Batman feeling out of them. I watched Justice League relatively recently, so
Yeah, that show's just burned into my brain.
it's it's incredible.
Although I'm interested in like, are they converting it to widescreen or are they leaving it in 4:3?
I
think they're leaving it in 4:3.
Okay.
Yeah, because it would be very hard to convert that stuff to widescreen.
Oh yeah.
That'd
You
be like
basically have to
remaking
like, draw
a lot of it. Yeah.
more. Yeah.
Actually, I think the first one that they switched to digital was for Batman and Robin, or the New Adventures of Batman and Robin or something. And
Yeah.
they totally
You
changed
mean
the
the-
art style and looked fucking
You mean
weird.
the one where Batman was blue?
No, that was Nightwing. Oh, no, Batman was still black. In fact, he just looked like a more pointy version of Batman.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And Nightwing was in it.
Right.
And Batgirl wasn't. What they did was, at the end of the thing where they like Batman's standing like on a building, and then there's like the lightning in the background and stuff in the original one. In the updated one, what they would do is they would have multiple characters standing on the rooftop with him, and depending on who was in that episode, would change who was standing up there.
Oh, that's cool.
So if Nightwing was in one of the episodes, he would be standing there next to Batman. So
Right. Nice.
and that was the one where you had that super sad Clayface story with the second Robin,
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
remember that.
or maybe it was the third Robin. Oh, you know what it was? They kind of mixed the story of Jason Todd and Tim Drake. Yes.
Yeah.
They kind of mixed those two characters together for that show,
Okay.
because they didn't want to do the part where Jason Todd gets his skull beat in by a crowbar. But
Right.
all right,
And lives.
so that's Mob Psycho.
Yeah.
In conclusion, Batman.
In conclusion, Batman.
Pretty sure that's Godwin's law,
I
right?
feel like we didn't stray that far from our topic, really.
Not really, no.
We talked about Batman.
So why don't we talk about the last show we'd probably even talk about this week, DuckTales. Oh, unless
All right.
do you have any games or anything, or did you do your one game, Dawson?
Ooh.
Me? Oh yeah, I did my one game. I played Monster Hunter after that.
I actually
That was
asked
it.
Dawson, but okay.
Oh, okay.
Any games
Path
other
of
than
Exile. No, that was it.
okay, the DuckTales.
Woo!
Actually, I think it's one word, but I think the T is still capitalized.
I think you might be right about both of those things. Yes,
I
that
think
sounds
it's
right.
I'm not entirely sure.
It's
We-
DuckTales. Woohoo!
We talked about DuckTales once before, right?
Yes.
But it wasn't done. We watched 4 episodes when we talked about it. So
We
there's been-
we watched the first 3 or 4 episodes at the time.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of DuckTales, a lot of tales about ducks.
And
Um,
not ducks.
And not ducks, even, actually. That's a great point.
Some of them are other animals as well.
Yeah, even though they live in Duckburg. I don't know why you would move to Duckburg if you aren't a duck.
Hey man, that's not cool. Sometimes, work, you gotta move there.
To be fair, most of the characters in Duckburg were ducks, but there were characters that were not in Duckburg that weren't ducks, like Don Carnage.
Don
Yeah.
Carnage. Well, let me
who
talk
is not
about
even
that
from
episode.
DuckTales.
Because that's one of my fucking that was such a fun episode to watch. I loved it. It was close to the end of the season, but there was an episode where Don Carnage from Tailspin makes a big cameo. I want to say
It's not a
cameo, is
cameo,
that
it's-
right?
it's
He's-
not a
he's
cameo,
the
it's
main-
straight up
he's
he's
like the
in-
main villain of
Yeah.
it.
He's just the villain.
It's like if anything, it's like a crossover.
guest appearance, maybe. They
That
talk-
implies real people to me, but
They also talk about the place that Tailspin takes place a lot.
Cape Suzette.
Cape Suzette, that's it. Yeah, they talk about that. They talk about going there a lot, but they don't, and that's not where Don Carnage shows up. He's just in the sky.
They actually have when they're talking about going to Cape Suzette in one of the last episodes, they have a brochure with the old cover of Tailspin on it with the Tailspin plane on it.
Oh, good.
So it was like, that was, I mean, it's obvious that it was a reference anyway, but like it was kind of even more of a reference.
Yeah, like they
a direct
solidified
reference.
it.
Yeah.
So like a direct reference to the show and not just the universe.
Right.
Yeah, so I want to talk about this episode because it sticks out in my mind so far. The episode basically opens up on a big musical number with fucking Don Carnage's pirate crew flying out on their planes and singing and dancing and robbing the fucking duck crew while
the Duck Boys and their
Duck Boys and their rich uncle while they sing and dance, and they're just like the ducks are just like so stunned. They're like, what's going on? Then why are they singing and dancing? And then by the time it's over, they're like, oh shit, they took all of our money.
Oh no, they robbed us while we were watching them dance.
Yeah, so one of the things saying that you and I were talking about during that episode was Don Carnage and his, like, he just felt like there was something that felt off about him. I think I know what it was, and I think it was just the fact that the voice actor was not good at doing a Spanish accent. Because
he's not supposed to be Spanish. He's supposed to be French.
I think he's supposed to be Spanish, actually, because I went and watched a bunch of clips of him, and he sounds pretty Spanish. He sounds pretty Spanish.
I don't know.
But aside from that, they actually got his like personality and stuff pretty spot on to the Tailspin show.
I wouldn't say that either.
Like when I was watching this like clip series of him, he would do things often like, "Ah, yes, here I am, Don Carnage," and then lean over to the camera. That's me.
I mean, he was arrogant and full of himself, but I don't think that. I think they kind of made him a lot goofier than he was.
He did.
Like he was a lot more serious in Tailspin.
Yeah.
Like I know, I don't know. Having him be like a singing air pirate, like whatever, that's funny. I can tolerate it, right? But he just didn't seem. I don't know. They kind of Flanderized him a little bit. He doesn't seem like he had strong motivations for what he was doing.
Yeah. His pirate crew honestly
money,
seemed more threatening than he did.
Yeah.
But that's another thing that I want to point out. They pretty much used all of the original designs of whatever incidental pirate character would like pirate henchman would show up with him in the show, in the Tailspin show.
Mm-hmm.
They pretty much just used those designs for his crew there, so that was pretty neat nod there.
You know, for one thing, Don Carnage, the difference between how he's treated in DuckTales and how he was originally treated in Tailspin. The first episode he's in of DuckTales, he's in a singing pirate group, right? The first episode of Tailspin he's in, which I think is the first episode, he tries to murder a child.
I see.
So, he tries to kill Kit, like, right in the beginning.
I'm pretty sure he tries to kill Dewey.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. They don't.
But that
they
was
allude
because
to it,
he
maybe.
was so. That was because he was so incompetent that Dewey stole his entire pirate crew. So, and he was mad about that.
Yeah.
So, like, it was.
Also, they changed his voice actor from Jim Cummings to Jamie Camille,
which is
and it's
fucking weird. Because
why?
Jim Cummings is Darkwing Duck in the show. Yeah,
you already have Jim Cummings. I don't understand.
I don't know. Maybe he was too old to do the Don Carnage voice anymore or something. I don't know.
So I looked at his there was a interview with Jim Cummings from the original one where he was talking about the voice. He says he's got some Cuban and some Spanish and a little Ricky Ricardo, and also has a little French in him.
Right.
So the reason why I say why I say French is one, his suit looks like a French suit, like military suit.
Yeah.
Also, he says his name's Don Carnage, and he like emphasizes the nasal sound in A. Don Carnage, which is a very French sound.
Right.
So that's why I was thinking French, but I don't know.
Yeah. he's based off of fucking the Dread Pirate Roberts from Princess Bride, who I'm pretty sure is Spanish.
Yes.
Um,
Well, no, the Dread. Well, he is at one point. At the
He
end of
is
the
at
movie,
one
he is.
sure.
But like throughout most of the movies, he's the other guy.
And Ricky Ricardo is the guy from is the male lead from I Love Lucy.
Oh,
If you didn't recognize that name.
I did not recognize that name, but yeah. So that was one episode of DuckTales.
Oh, actually, he literally calls himself the Dread Pirate Don Carnage sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's fun. I liked that episode so much that I want to go see a not bastardized version of that pirate crew. So I kind of want to watch some Tailspin.
yeah, I kind of want to watch some Tailspin too, because actually, the more time goes on, the more I'm thinking maybe they're not going to make Tailspin. Like, remake Tailspin. They might remake, like, Darkwing Duck, maybe, especially since they keep talking about it.
A lot, yeah.
But I don't know. Something tells me that maybe Tailspin, or maybe Tailspin might not work because of all of the Jungle Book characters. People might think that's weird. I don't know.
People thought it was weird when Tailspin came out.
Actually, people didn't. Some people didn't notice, but I mean, a
How
lot
did
of the people
not notice? The main character was Baloo.
Well, the characters didn't act anything alike. Are you gonna sit
Yeah,
there and tell me
like-
the Baloo from Tailspin acted even remotely like the one from Jungle Book? It's like they're the same species and have the same name, but act completely different otherwise.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I don't know. It's strange, and they didn't really allude to any of those characters. The only like Tailspin character that was even like associated in there was Don Carnage. So
Yeah, and I guess they do have the Tailspin I keep saying ship because that Don Carnage episode made me think of airplanes as ships. But
yeah,
they showed the Tailspin plane.
yeah,
So I don't know, maybe.
yeah. They also have Tailspin original characters too, like that small bear child that I don't remember his name.
Kit Fox. I think that's who you're talking about.
I don't know.
There's
there's
a bunch of
character that they put in there because they couldn't use Mowgli because he was human.
Most of the characters in Tailspin weren't reused. It was only Baloo, Shere Khan, and
Bagheera?
What?
Was Bagheera in it?
No, you ask me that every time. Bagheera is not in it. Baloo, Shere Khan, and the monkey or the ape.
Louis. Yeah. The orangutan.
Although he acts not even remotely the same either, but
yeah,
he's like the bartender.
Good. I mean, if you're gonna make somebody a bartender, why not the man who sings a big jazz song that everybody remembers?
That's basically what I think was their thought process behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just Don Carnage. What did you think about the rest of the series?
Oh boy, the rest of the series was like pretty damn great. I really like they have a bunch of like plot threads that they pull along really slowly, and they don't exactly converge, right? Like perfectly. It's not like all of these plot threads stick together to one thing that happens, but all of the plot threads like kind of start to intertwine.
Right.
Like they were not related to each other at first, but as a consequence of
them doing multiple things
it all like, okay. Can I just say one of the plot threads?
Yeah, go ahead. It doesn't matter.
So yeah, I'm not gonna be like spoil what it leads to or anything, but as a consequence of as one of the consequences of the siblings trying to track down their lost mother, they leave and nobody's there when a different plot thread kind of like hooks up, and then it's like like that's happening, nobody's there with Scrooge, and then that leads into like the big final battle. It's like, oh no, we got to save Scrooge because we weren't there. Whereas if they had been there, I don't think anything bad would like maybe they would have been able to salvage it sooner. So,
or at least wouldn't have gotten that far out of control all at once.
Exactly. Yeah. So like all of these little threads that they sow throughout the series kind of converge pretty cleanly, even though they aren't intrinsically related to each other, which I think is pretty neat. It was a good finale, especially.
The thing I like about DuckTales is there's I don't think there's been a bad episode at all.
I can't point to one that was.
There
just
are episodes I didn't like as much, but but I don't think any of them were bad. Where like most series by now have had at least one episode that was pointless or boring, right?
Yeah, and maybe like some of them may be pointless to the overarching plot, but not all episodes really have to forward an overarching plot.
But even then, like a lot of the ones that do have some character development in them and do have a point to them. It's not like they don't do anything, right? Like whereas there's definitely episodes and stuff, especially like Steven Universe, that just don't go anywhere.
Oh yeah,
that are just
Steven
completely
Universe
pointless.
Is the worst about that.
Me and Dawson were watching through Steven Universe again, and like I had forgotten how much of a quality drop it goes from like the end of season 1, because god damn, the end of season 1 was good. It was some good shit.
Yeah, but like if you think about it though, season 1 is like the hardest season to rewatch. Like it's not a quality drop from season 1. It's a quality drop from season 1's finale. If you took if you disconnected the finale, season 1's kind of boring.
Hey, not just
Jailbreak.
There's
like the last
things leading up to Jailbreak are also like everything that kind of is related to Jailbreak in Steven Universe season 1 is good stuff, and then there's the filler episodes which fucking suck.
I don't know. Like there's some in season 1, but I think pretty much, at least in my opinion, like pretty much it's just Jailbreak. There are like hints and teases and stuff throughout, but it's like I don't know. Whereas season 2 and onward,
Amethyst and Steven run off is
well, it doesn't matter. I don't want to talk about specifically, but like I think from season 2 onward, it does maintain a little bit more consistency in terms of like being about stuff. But I don't know. There's lots of examples we could talk about where there's just like every show seems to have a couple episodes, especially early on, that are just pointless. And this is a show that at most doesn't forward the overarching narrative, but still is about the characters and how they're relating to each other.
And that's something that's like really like I think they worked really hard. Like they focused really hard on that to hone in on it specifically, because in the original DuckTales, it was kind of like duck, 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 and girl duck. And those were the characters. That was what the triplets were. And then Girl Duck, who was just a smaller version of Daisy Duck. And that's it. So like each one of the triplet, like even from an art design standpoint, they look distinct and not just red, blue, and green. Plus
there's a whole story just about the grandma, which she was in the original series, but she was not even remotely a character.
Yeah. She's like a secret agent and shit. Like, and that's not even really a spoiler. They hint at that in the first episode.
And it's like they give you a reason for why this character is around Scrooge and putting up with this bullshit in the first place, and like why there's a connection between them at all. Because before that, you're always just kind of wondering, like, how is she just a maid? Like, what's going on? Is she just here? What? Why? But like at first, I thought when they were first alluding to it, I thought she was a spy on Scrooge, like she was stalking Scrooge or something.
Right.
But you know,
no, that's Webby.
Well, I just meant I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, I really like especially because, you know, Donald Duck's been around for 70 years. Scrooge McDuck's been around since they decided to make A Christmas Carol. I think
No,
he came after the
that's-
triplets.
What are you talking about? Like, well, he did come after the triplets, but long before A Christmas Carol. He's been around way longer than that. Christmas
Really?
Carol's actually a modern version of Scrooge. I think that came out after DuckTales.
I thought that they named him Scrooge McDuck because
No.
they made him for that.
No,
Huh.
not at all. He was in original Donald Duck comics. Not even
Oh.
cartoons, comics. And then later on he got a DuckTales comic.
Huh.
And then that DuckTales comic ran for a long time before they even converted it into a TV show. And then the TV show actually dumbed down a lot of the comic, and this new series is actually more like the original comic than it is like the original series. So Scrooge has been around for fucking ever.
Huh. Okay, so he was named and designed after Scrooge from A Christmas Carol, but he wasn't originally.
Well,
named
yeah,
for
the
that
original
story,
like
yeah.
comic or the original like story.
Right.
Yeah, he was created in 1947. So yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas their version of Christmas Carol came way after that.
Okay. So yeah. But that's kind of my point. All of these characters have their great, distinct, defining features. You know, like, and it's not just like a one-dimensional thing. Like, oh, Huey's the smart one and Dewey's the blue one.
Well, Dewey's the
it's like they are-
adventurous one, and then Louie's the lazy one.
Yeah, he's lazy and he's like a kind of a charisma mancer type. So it's
And he's the one who likes
but
treasure.
it's not just this one-dimensional thing, right? Like they all have their own distinct personalities that are really hard to describe because they feel so well written. Like you can tell which one is doing. Like, of course, they all have their little quirks. Like Huey has his Junior Woodchuck thing that he sticks to his Scouts badges and stuff. But like,
And each of their little quirks seems to be like almost like a shard of Scrooge himself as this like veteran adventurer. Each of them has like a little bit of what makes Scrooge in them,
Yeah.
which is kind of nice.
yeah, I hadn't really noticed that, but that's true, huh? There's even an episode where you get flashback, or a couple episodes, I think, where you get flashbacks of younger Scrooge, and he seems a lot like the three of them kind of mushed together in his younger days.
Yeah. When he
Which
was younger,
we-
especially, he came off as way more reckless than he does now,
Yeah,
and less in control of the situation. Although they kind of allude to how old he is, which is funny.
I think we determined that if it
He's
if
like
it took place
151.
current day, yeah, he's like 150 something.
Although
Yeah.
it's hard to tell because some of it might have been in suspended animation or in other dimensions too. So
Also, his parents are immortal because he cursed them by accident. So there's like a lot of weird time stuff going on.
I mean, in
Speaking of-
this kind of like crazy
speaking of-
fantasy like adventure world, they can do whatever the fuck they want, which is kind of nice.
exactly, yeah.
they established
Speaking
really
of-
quick there's curses everywhere. So
Oh,
Yeah.
Everything
This
is
crazy bullshit
Pretty
going
sure
on.
in the
you know,
first episode they unleash a horrible curse that Scrooge has to fix. Speaking of
Multiple.
timey-wimey bullshit, Scrooge is also voice acted by David Tennant, which is phenomenal because he is Scottish. He's like, you can't even, if you didn't know, you wouldn't even be able to tell that he's a former Doctor Who, which is great because when you play Doctor Who, this is the reason that Christopher Eccleston quit. When you play Doctor Who, that's who you are for the rest of your life.
except
And David
Christopher
Tennant has-
Eccleston was just wrong because David Tennant's been in a lot of shit.
Yeah, but
That's all been good and distinct from Doctor Who.
Well,
so-
here's the thing. David,
that's because
Christopher
David-
Eccleston was in it before David Tennant because of the fact that he was the first one in the new reboot. And
Right.
previously, that had held true.
Right. But Matt Smith
Just
has
gotta
not
get
broken
good.
away from being Doctor Who at all. He still thinks he's Doctor Who in real life. So, like,
you just gotta
Also,
get
neither is
good.
David
Christopher
Tennant-
Eccleston, ironically.
I don't think
I don't know,
Christopher
like
Eccleston-
it's just one of
has-
those things. It's like you only really get typecast if you let yourself get typecast.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Like-
well, I mean, the agents in the studios have a lot to do with that.
I mean,
Like sometimes you cannot get hired for a job that isn't like that.
I don't know. I think that they're like, you have to be willing to make compromises in places and maybe take a job that doesn't pay as well or whatever. But like, you can do it. You can work on a friend's indie film and break out of that. Like there are ways. Like if people who are complaining about being typecast really just aren't trying hard enough to break out of that. I think. And yes, there is a degree
of
of
I think it depends on how deep they've dug themselves into the typecasting, right? Like, I don't think that being cast as Doctor Who for a season is going to get you to be Doctor Who for the rest of your life. But if you keep doing nothing but taking things as Doctor Who over and over again for years and years and years, then yeah, then people are going to start seeing you as Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Whereas David Tennant he still embraces that he was the whichever number Doctor, but he also just kind of does all kinds of stuff. He's all over the place. He was
I mean,
Kilgrave.
you can even say that about like I can't remember his name because I'm terrible with names. The guy who played Luke Skywalker.
Mark
Hamill. Yeah, people will kind of always think of him as Luke Skywalker, right? But at the same time, he also played the most most recognized version of the Joker.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and those are characters that are so diametrically different. It's not even funny. So I don't know. Like, people can break out of it if they really want to. It just they might not be.
Actors like Michael Williams, who played Omar in The Wire, and basically like has talked a lot about how it's very hard to get jobs as anything but Omar in The Wire, and like he was in Moonlight, which was a big indie movie that deadass won the Academy Award that year, and like he still can't.
Well, it takes more than one thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, like, the point is, my point was that David Tennant does a wonderful performance, and you can't see like basically any of the Doctor Who in it.
Right.
At all.
I think they don't they make kind of references, like jokes about it though, kind of.
I think you could, if you squint a little bit, you could like say, I think he said stuff about like time travel and stuff, but I don't know if that's necessarily a reference.
Right.
Because
Man,
time,
also
like,
in 12 Years a Slave.
Who, Omar?
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Point is, he was in a lot of indie movies and is still cast as Omar.
Well, my point is, you're talking about one actor who keeps getting typecast, and I'm talking about one actor who's not getting typecast at all. So.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
So like we have the same number of weight to our arguments here.
Plus, like I don't know, it's not really that. I guess that's just an opinion that I have. It's not really. It doesn't really matter, right? But
even my point was, even when somebody doesn't get typecast, a lot of people will kind of see that other character if they really like that other character.
Yeah.
More.
Right.
Like even if they're playing a completely different character, like. I was even guilty of it with David Tennant specifically. When I was watching Kilgrave, I kept, he looked exactly the same as he did in Doctor Who. He didn't like change his look very much. So it was
he wore like purple suits and stuff.
Like I was like, I wasn't thinking this is Kilgrave. I was thinking this is David Tennant. So like,
yeah, but I think that happens with a lot of actors.
Wonderful
anyway.
Performance, yeah.
I'll see anything with Chris Pratt in it, and I don't even remember the main character's name in Jurassic World. I remember that he was played by Chris Pratt. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that happens a lot. So
yeah, I don't know. But I think all the acting across the board is really good in DuckTales. So
yeah, it's great.
Absolutely.
Also for like the
except Don Carnage.
Right? He was not great. For the triplets, they actually hired adult males, which is weird because normally when people are voice acting children, they hire adult females or actual children. All three of the adult men that they hired were from like sketch comedy sitcoms. I think one is from Parks and Rec, one is from Community, and one is from like I don't even fucking remember. One was on The Office or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Which is kind of funny because it fits their personalities a little bit to be Oh yeah, the other one was in Saturday Night Live. That one was Louis. I remember specifically because of his Saturday Night Live type sketch that he did.
Oh, that was Dewey.
Was it Dewey?
That was Dewey who did that, but I don't know if that's which one's which.
I know
but...
it was Louis. It was the green one. So weird. I don't know, but yeah, like I really DuckTales keeps drawing me in. Like, I even went back and rewatched a couple of the episodes, and you can kind of watch them in whatever order you want to.
Oh, yeah.
For the most part, aside from the ones that have these little plot threads you wouldn't really understand. Like, if you watch the second episode with Lena in it, you're like, wait, who's this? Why is she Webby's best friend? What am I doing? Why does she have this dark shadow? What's going on? You wouldn't know. But
right.
those are like interspersed, right? So like you it's
there
designed to watch in order, but you can just kind of watch whatever it is.
There are definitely a few of them that... and there's even callbacks to episodes, like, kind of a lot, too. Like,
oh, yeah.
In the finale, they brought up the Khopesh that they had from the Egyptian episode.
Oh, yeah,
Egyptian pyramid episode, which doesn't otherwise really connect to any of the other episodes.
No, practically not at all.
That was more about character development of like Webby's relationship with like Dewey specifically or something, or maybe it was Louis. I don't remember.
They're still hard to tell apart when you're not watching.
Well,
them.
I don't think it's a matter of. I don't think it's a matter of them being similar. It's more that like I don't remember which character she was relating to with that episode, like that. Even in a different show,
right? She has like she has special interactions with all of them.
Well, it's just there's a lot of characters in general, so it's like in Steven Universe, maybe I don't remember if that episode was about Garnet or it was about Amethyst or something, and maybe that's a bad example, but you know what I mean, like
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I think it was Louis because he was the one who talked.
It probably was Louis. Yeah,
I think it was Louis. Yeah. And Cree Summers was in that episode. She played a cute jackal lady.
That jackal is very cute.
Yes.
Yeah, so DuckTales still very good. I definitely recommend it.
I would say that there's not one bad episode.
Yeah.
You can even just pick an episode and watch it. I would say pick the first one and watch it.
And you should watch from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think the first episode does the best job in not only setting up the rest of the series, but doing a good job of telling you what the series is going to be about.
Mm-hmm. And again, the first episode does a really good job of showcasing the fact that it's not like the old DuckTales in that there was Triplet 1, Triplet 2, and Triplet 3 and Girl. Like you kind of get a good feel for all of their unique personalities, and then that develops as the series goes on, but you get a good feel that they're individuals.
The funny thing about the original DuckTales was they even had episodes where they took one specific duck out of the trio and then had an episode about that specific duck. So in that episode, they gave him different personality qualities, but then in the next episode, he would just be another of the trio again, and they would have no difference at all again. So it was like they tried to do it a little bit, except it never stuck, and they didn't write for that. It was just like they were there.
Yeah, it's like kind of a hard. It's hard to do an ensemble cast like that, but they've done a really good job in this new.
Well, I think they are trying to do an ensemble cast. The original show was very much just about Scrooge, kind of.
That's true. Yeah.
And
even Donald Duck has his own kind of unique personality. Like, it's still just
played
Donald
by
Duck.
Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
Donald Duck wasn't in the original one.
He wasn't?
No. He was in the comic. He wasn't in the series, though.
Huh.
Actually, I think that the premise of the series was Donald's going to war now, like Vietnam or something.
Oh yeah!
And so he drops the boys off at Scrooge's house and takes off. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, Donald's been in the Navy since they made him, I think. So
yeah,
wasn't he made for World War II propaganda cartoons?
I think he existed before that.
Before that, yeah.
Okay, yeah, but they used him in the World War II propaganda.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
They took advantage of him
because he was already in the Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be that he was created for World War II. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, so I really liked it. Like,
Dick Tales.
I was thinking of my
Tales.
least favorite episode, but I forget what it was now.
I can't even think of one that I like. Like it's hard. My least favorite episode would just be the episode that I liked a lot less than the others.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's I don't even know how to pick that one.
Maybe the first Gizmo Duck episode was kind of boring because
Yeah.
it was very much about what's his face's inability to not crash.
Yeah, I
Launchpad,
would
Launchpad.
go so far as to say like all of the like I felt like all of the Gizmo episodes were a little bit filler. They did come up like in the last episode, but sort of on the side.
I feel like they're gonna do more
mean,
with
the-
that character,
the-
so
the
I
one-
don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not
fair
too
enough.
worried about it.
The ones,
but yeah,
the
I
ones
guess
with Gizmo Duck specifically, or all of the ones that involved
All the ones that
Gyro Gear Loose and-
Gyro Gear Loose, yeah,
Okay, yeah.
and like Mark Beaks and stuff like that.
Mark.
well, I don't know because Mark Beaks they set him up to be kind of a villain.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Also,
so he's
I
sort
looked
of
up.
an ongoing character. I don't know.
I looked up what species Mark Beaks is supposed to be. You guys will never guess what his species is.
oh yeah, go ahead.
Bird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They don't even fucking know what he is. He's just bird.
oh you know,
He
bird.
kind of he. I think you're right. He does look like a chicken hawk.
Yeah, I think he's a chicken hawk, but I
Yeah,
don't really
yeah.
know.
Which would kind of be funny because of who that is parodying, but
Yeah,
or kind of like the three people he's parodying.
yeah.
Fuck you, Foghorn Leghorn. Eat my shit.
Oh no, I meant like in real life, like
Oh yeah,
Zuckerberg
yeah.
and
Yeah.
Zuckerberg,
He's-
Steve Jobs, and
also like
fucking-
the flamethrower guy. Why can't I remember names?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Thank you.
oh yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So I think that's all we really have to say. Finale was like great. Definitely
The
watch that.
finale was top tier. Even the episode
yeah.
leading up to the finale
Oh,
was.
well,
Oh, I
you-
like the episode leading up to the finale even better. Like, I love
Yeah.
the episode leading up to the finale. It was good
that
shit.
it like
I feel like they're gonna.
a lot of children's
talk-
cartoons are afraid to do really emotional shit like that. Like that's one of the things that I think drew a lot of people to Steven Universe was just because of the emotion that the characters actually portrayed.
Right.
And they did a lot of that in the finale and the episode leading up to the finale. It was like the whole thing was just basically family fighting, which is and handled in a good way, not just like you know?
I wonder who the triplets' father is, because we know who the triplets, uncle is. Donald is Uncle Donald.
Right, and their
Scrooge
mom is his sister, so it's whoever she married.
right. Unless, well, not necessarily married. It's not like
Well, yeah,
that's necessarily a thing, but
maybe whoever she had a wild fling with on one of their adventures.
yeah.
As a kid show, they're married.
Yeah, I was kid shit. Yeah,
They got married,
I
and
don't
that's how
know.
they had kids.
he probably
Times
they got
are changing.
as soon as she got pregnant. As soon as they got married, she got pregnant on their wedding day by kissing.
No, they didn't even kiss. They just got married, and then the kids showed up.
Maybe they'll go the route with the triplets were just brought in by a mysterious stork. They were eggs, so who knows?
Maybe they clawed their way out of the ground.
No, they were eggs.
Coming
the-
from hell itself. The
Donald was
triplets
pushing them around
arrived.
and pushing the eggs around in a carriage in one episode, in one flashback.
Oh yeah, that's right. No, yeah.
You know, the
yeah.
funny thing about Della Duck is she's never been explored ever before.
Have they like alluded to her before?
She has been named. She has been they have named her as the triplets' mother,
mothers,
but they've
but
never
they
talked
never-
about her
Huh.
before. Even in the comics, they've never talked about her. So it's kind of interesting that she was like this kind of mystery that they needed to figure out about her, because in a lot of ways it was kind of a mystery for everyone what they were gonna do with her. So
Yeah, and that that is so. Not gonna say the specifics because it is a big spoiler, but saying the fact that it's a spoiler means that they do wrap up that plot thread within the season. So they don't wrap it up fully,
Yeah.
but they the triplets kind of solve the mystery that they're trying to solve, which is really nice because they could have dragged that out for way longer.
right.
But instead, it's kind of got a new. they kind of set up a new mystery, which they're getting a second season, and it's
Oh,
such
yeah.
a phenomenal show.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm
No,
pretty
it makes
sure they
a lot
were
of
already.
obvious sense too.
Yeah. Yeah. All of the villains also, like, they're all really silly, but the ones that are supposed to be threatening are pretty threatening, which is nice. Like, obviously, Glomgold, right? He is totally just always played for laughs. He's just a fucking dopey fucking villain who fucks up everything he does. But, there's villains like, I wouldn't even consider her necessarily a villain, but Scrooge's ex-girlfriend, she was really like suave. She wasn't threatening because she didn't really want to kill anybody, but she was skilled and almost beat Scrooge. Probably did beat Scrooge, I think, if I remember right. The Magica, she was really fucking like scary, built up through the whole series. Like, she was a pretty big
She was
threat.
kind of played for laughs too, though, a little bit.
She was played for they had like jokes about her, but like I think that was more because
they didn't play her for laughs in that she was incompetent the way that they did with Glomgold.
Right,
but
exactly.
she definitely was used.
She was very
for
competent,
jokes.
but she was humorous because she was fucking nuts. So yeah, but like even throughout the series, she was like a very scary villain even before she was like actually fully realized in the show. Like, she was like this big looming threat that kept...
There was also a Mighty Ducks reference.
Oh yeah. The Beagle Boys are horribly incompetent, but they're less incompetent than Glomgold, so that
Are they though?
the Beagle Boys are more incompetent than Glomgold, but Mom Beagle is less incompetent, I would say. She's actually like genuinely threatening and scary if she had henchmen that could do anything. Like, her plans would go through right.
So I googled it. The triplets have never had a named father.
I see.
It's always been named as Della Duck has been their mother, but they've never said who their father was.
Maybe
So,
Mark is a parrot.
a parrot.
Yeah, he's not colorful, but
No, I still think
some kind of
Chicken
chocolate
Hawk
bird.
makes the most sense because he reminds me very much of the Chicken Hawk from Foghorn Leghorn. So
yeah, okay. Yeah, it's true.
anyway, so I think we are gonna go to a break, right? How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds
good
good.
to me.
What time is
Including
it?
DuckTales, great.
How about 5:25? That's only like 6 minutes, but I kind of want to get this done.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. So that's in about 5 or so minutes. We'll be back in a little bit.
Ugh.
Okay, I literally told you to be quiet before that, and then you start clearing your throat while I'm unmuting it. You jerk. You can talk now.
Oh, what?
No!
Oh, are we back? Okay.
Yeah, we're
You
back.
yelled at me. I don't
All
want to talk now.
All right. So we're gonna
yeah.
talk about news for the rest of the show.
What
There's
are we gonna do first?
not a lot of it. Why don't we start with movie news?
Okay. Let's start. Oh wow, yeah, you're right. There wasn't actually a lot of this. I thought there was more. I don't know why. Anyway, so aside from the thing that I already mentioned that there's gonna be a Batman thing, we're going to get a new Netflix series from Alex Hirsch. The man was hired on by Netflix to do whatever the hell he wanted, which is great. I'm excited to see what this man will come up with. I love Gravity Falls, and I'm excited for his own original material where he is not hindered in any way by Netflix or Disney's like quality control.
Right. Maybe it'll be better
Alex
than the Hollow show, which seemed kind of inspired by his work.
Maybe. Alex
Actually,
Hirsch will get to say fuck.
I actually did kind of like the Hollow, but I don't know.
It wasn't.
It wasn't
like, the same
amazing.
level. Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of that, Netflix has a new series. I didn't put it here, but I'll mention Netflix has a new series called Paradise PD, made by the same people who made Brickleberry. It looks fucking awful, and we're probably not going to talk about it because none of us want to watch it.
What is it?
It's that you haven't seen it like advertised on Netflix in like the last 12 years.
No.
I'll put it this way, it's bad.
Because going back to my point a couple of weeks ago, the advertisements that play in between Netflix shows are so laughably ignorable, it's surprising that anybody
Oh,
even
no.
noticed.
What I mean is when you click on the Netflix, the thing that they've always had.
Oh, no, I didn't see those either.
Okay.
I definitely ignore those.
All right. Next, The Incredibles 2 just broke a box office record for fucking anime movie. It was 660 million.
What was the record? Any movie not rated PG-13?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, it beat Finding Dory, which had 486.
I'm not
And it did it.
surprised. I didn't like
Yeah.
that one that much.
Yeah,
Honestly.
That sounds so fucking like. That sounds so like. Who even cares? This is the biggest grossing movie ever, except for all of these movies that are rated this particular thing. Like it's like what's
Well, it's another point of like Hollywood is still making a fuck ton of money. Oh, and thank you, Zane, for posting this one down at the bottom that we'll get to right after this next one. Following up for our things that I was talking about Canes back when Canes was going on, where they were being very angry about Netflix because they weren't showing them in theaters. Venice's art house cinemas are now doing that too. So the French have convinced the Italians to, they're following suit more with not releasing Netflix movies, which they believe don't need the sort of advertisement that a lot of these other movies would, because they're already on Netflix and already have a distribution platform, in favor of smaller movies that may not have a distribution platform that are going to be shown in theaters, because that's kind of a big thing.
right.
These art house films, it's kind of funny, like these indie films, right? They care a lot about getting into theaters, even though a lot of times they can't get into theaters. So it's like, it's almost like,
at least American theaters, yeah.
It's almost as if they're going, like, we really want to be in theaters, and then Netflix is like, but what if you skip theaters and come to us instead? And they're like, no, theaters.
It's because theaters are specifically the quintessential way to watch movies. Movies are made specifically to be seen in theaters.
I mean, yes, but at the same time, a lot of people prefer not to. I don't know. Like, I kind of get what you're saying, but it seems almost like they care about it not because of the status more than anything else, to some extent. But I don't know. That's just like.
But like a lot of
That
Netflix
just
movies
seems
aren't
funny to
even
me.
playing in like small indie theaters. Like the place in Portland to watch like art house movies that are being played like nowhere else is the Fox Tower, and they won't even like the Netflix movies won't even go there.
Yeah, but that's because, like,
They release them on their own
yeah.
platform.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, like, I don't care if these companies are going to start Netflix banning or whatever, because it's like,
Yeah. Well, film festival specifically.
yeah, because ultimately it's like, I don't think Netflix really cares, and I certainly don't care that much. I'll see
Right.
whatever indie movies I see, and if they go to Netflix, then cool, right?
Yeah.
And if I
and
don't
that's-
see one and it goes to Netflix, then cool. And if it goes to theaters and then doesn't go to Netflix, then that kind of sucks for me. But like, I don't know.
And one of the reasons this might hurt Netflix though is if a lot of like if it has a distribution platform, right? What they would usually put it in is like they would put it in a film festival so that it could build up buzz and so that critics could see it, and like if it's really really good, the critics will like give it huge like praise before it comes out. Like that was one of the things about Hereditary. Everyone was really excited to see it because when it hit film festivals, everyone went apeshit for it. And yeah, a lot of Netflix movies aren't going to get that treatment. They're just going to release whenever they're on Netflix. So that hurts Netflix a little bit, but not a terrible amount.
I don't even think it
Right.
hurts them at all, really, because like ultimately, Netflix is kind of a closed ecosystem anyway.
Yeah.
The kind of people, I think most people who watch stuff on Netflix don't know about the buzz around like film festivals and stuff. So it's just kind of like
Right.
they're gonna see whatever they end up seeing on Netflix, you know? Like
Yeah.
Yeah, who use Netflix as their primary form of entertainment. That is.
the only way that this might like change Netflix's strategies a little bit at most. It's like maybe they'll do what they're doing with Alex Hirsch, and instead of buying film like the distribution rights for a film, they might just spend more to make original content. And
Right.
like
Yeah, that's what they've been doing for like a while now.
yeah, so it's I don't know. I don't know that this hurts Netflix that much, and really if film festivals really have an issue with Netflix, then okay, fine, you know?
Right. Oh, just to clarify and to make sure you understand, like, Netflix is still able to pick up the film festival, like pick up movies at these film festivals. They're just not able to premiere their original movies at them.
Well, I mean, oh well.
So the next one is Alec Baldwin quit the Joker movie that he was going to be in.
Like
That
2
means he'll
2
live.
days after.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, now wait, was Alec Baldwin Jane Cobb, or was that a different Baldwin?
I think that was a different
That's
Baldwin.
different. James, like from Firefly?
Yes.
That was a completely different Baldwin.
Adam Baldwin.
Yeah.
They even have the same first letter, the same number of letters in their name.
Yeah, but
Too many
he's not one.
Baldwins.
The one that played Jane is not one of the famous Baldwins.
But yeah, he was going to play Joker in a Joker movie, and he just left it.
Yeah,
So yeah, that
I wonder why.
the-
There's many reasons this could be for, but
oh
I wonder what
crap!
specific-
I read this story like earlier in the week, and I completely forgot everything about it, including that it existed, which is why I didn't put it in the thing.
yeah.
The reason that he gave was because, quote, there are like 25 guys that could play that part, that, you know, there are like a bunch of people that could do it. He might be under contract not to say certain things, but like he's out of the movie. DC Cinematic Universe, you're looking real fucking good.
I mean,
good.
really, Batman's parents were always just an extra.
Yeah.
With the one
yeah.
exception of the Flashpoint paradox,
Yeah.
in which Batman's father becomes Batman instead of Batman.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
his mother becomes the Joker.
Which is really cool, but
Yeah.
like that's not what they're doing, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was some silly thing. And yeah, well, this was a joke to begin with.
He's
the
like,
fact that
why
they were
did I-
doing two Joker movies?
He's like, why did I sign on to be an extra in this movie? You know, because that's basically
Alec
what
Baldwin was playing the Joker.
I thought he was playing Thomas Wayne.
I could have sworn he was playing the Joker. He might have been playing Thomas Wayne though. Hold on. Joaquin Phoenix. Oh yeah, Joaquin Phoenix is going to play the Joker, right? Yeah, he was
Joaquin.
Thomas Wayne.
He
Yeah,
was
you were
playing
right.
Thomas Wayne, so literally, like, he existed just to be on camera for a minute to get shot. Like, that's...
Yeah, pretty much.
So he is basically playing an extra. Why did you need Alec Baldwin to be an extra?
Apparently, this was going to be like a past movie.
Maybe
like,
for the exact
yeah.
same reason that they needed Patrick Stewart to play one guy in Oblivion.
Oh, so
Yeah.
they're doing... Well, no, that's kind of different for that's like marketing reasons, but...
Yeah.
Okay, if it was that, then maybe they're doing one of the, like, 4 secret origins of Joker.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because there's, like... Joker has, like, 4 or 5 different origin stories, and there may or may not be, like, 4 different Jokers.
And also, any of them may or may not be true.
Yeah.
The stories might be true. I think there's pretty good evidence that there are multiple Jokers, but
Yeah.
I think there was a comic that, like, explicitly revealed that sort of recently, but...
Right.
Or, I say recently, but, like, 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to gaming news, because that's basically it, right?
That's it for movie news. Yeah, that's it. We done.
Our favorite topic, loot boxes.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay. Go on. Yes.
that reaction was a little more than necessary, maybe, but
Yeah.
So sick of loot.
I mean, that's what
boxes.
Blizzard is doing, but you know how it is.
well, if you're sick of loot boxes, you'll be happy to hear
Yeah.
that in Belgium, Blizzard has to pull paid loot boxes from Overwatch and Heroes of the Storm because
Yep.
Belgium considers it gambling.
Okay. Well, more specifically, the point. I'm sick of hearing about loot boxes.
I don't
That's what
know.
you said.
I
Yeah.
mean, I
it's
kind of
still
get what
work.
you're saying. Like, I kind of get that, but at the same time, it's like this is still kind
It's
of an
still a thing.
ongoing story, and they're still around, and it's like
Yeah.
until they're not in games anymore, we're gonna hear about them.
Yeah.
But I heard a kind of a separate thing that says like a lot of companies are moving away from loot boxes anyway, just because they're so tainted at this point.
Yeah, and that's completely understandable. Like I've seen a bunch of stuff advertise, like stuff I would almost assume wouldn't have loot boxes, like first like just single player games, like advertising themselves like not even as a joke, legitimately. I've seen joke ones of these, but like legitimately, like we don't have loot boxes, by the way. We just thought.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sick of hearing about this country banned them, that country banned them, this country banned them. People are like, it's everybody knows that the entire consumer base of video games hates loot boxes.
Well, if the entire community base hated them that much, then they wouldn't make it fuck tons of money. So
Yeah, and
don't know.
not only that, but like countries banning specifically like video game things like this is kind of a big deal.
yeah, because that creates a lot of ripple effects that we might not even understand yet. This might cause
Yeah.
problems for things later down the line.
Yeah.
So did Belgium ban Overwatch and Heroes of the Storm from selling loot boxes, or did Belgium ban video games from selling loot boxes? Because those are
Belgium is
very
one of the
different
companies
things.
that already made
Countries, yeah.
Steam change their loot boxes in a couple of games too.
I
yeah.
see.
So it's kind of like they're sort of setting precedent that this kind of thing is not allowed here.
Yeah.
Right. Right. One of the things that it just basically means you just can't play a phone game in Belgium. Phones
Well,
aren't for games in Belgium anymore.
well,
Or because
it
they
depends how
call
they do
them
it.
is it because they call them summons or pulls that they aren't considered loot boxes? Because that's
No,
bullshit.
it's how it. I don't know the specifics, but it is about how they give access to like information about like rates, and I think that some of it has to do with like monetary value or perceived monetary value. So it's like there are I think some phone games would like have problems, but I don't think that it's necessary.
Well-
Like gacha games probably would run into the same problems, but it's not.
Yeah.
There
Well,
are
all
other games that don't do that. so.
pretty much every game that exists in China is already required to release their drop table information. So
Yeah, but Overwatch doesn't release their North American drop tables. You can guess that they're the same, but Blizzard hasn't released their drop tables for Overwatch in North America. So
right.
So it's like it doesn't matter what China's doing, and maybe some companies are being nice enough to give you that information, but like, Blizzard isn't one of them. So
Right.
I don't know. So there's like a lot of different intersecting laws that are going on with this, but yeah, I guess Belgium just decided that their implementation of paid loot box systems are a problem.
Right.
And where I'm at with loot boxes now is I don't think they're gambling, and I don't think they should be illegal. But I think they are a shitty system, and I don't like them.
I think that it's just kind of pointless to make them illegal. If they're making a shit ton of money, then those idiots should stop spending money on them. And
That's not a thing that happens. Like, I mean, you can say that as much as you want, but the truth is people are going to spend money on dumb shit. Like, all the time.
yeah, I mean, they are.
Well, the problem is
And you
you're
can
not
say,
talking
like, these
about
things are...
the problem here is, especially with Belgium, is we're not talking about dumb people, we're talking about dumb children.
Right.
Yeah.
Their issue is that, like, there's no, like, line.
Barrier to keep children, like,
Yeah. So, like, 12-year-olds playing Overwatch, or I think the game is, like, yeah, it's T for teen, so yeah, like, 12-year-olds, or 13 or whatever, can still interact with these essentially gambling systems in Belgium's eyes, so.
Yeah.
Right.
But go ahead.
If it's at the point where there are games that are using we don't have loot boxes as a marketing point,
They still do make
people
money.
are obviously
like,
starting to
absolutely
realize.
still make money.
So who cares? That's the thing. If like the consumer's the one that's supposed to.
Assuming
police-
all consumers. Is
Okay, I
informed
get
is a
what
little
I
bit
get what
naive.
Dawson's saying.
The consumer
I-
is supposed to police consumerism. Like,
well, first of all, like, yes, in a free market system, I agree that, like, in a lot of cases, this stuff regulates itself. You don't need the government intervention, and I agree with that on some level. That being said, some consumer protections are good too, but like in the United States, this shouldn't be illegal, right?
Right.
And sure, loot boxes. It's getting to the point where people, it is such a poisonous thing that certain companies, especially indie companies, don't want to engage with it. But other
Right.
companies don't care and are big enough that it doesn't matter, like Call of Duty and whatever. Call of Duty will still, if they put loot boxes in it, they'll still probably sell them. And
Yeah.
like, from the government's perspective, they may want to look at consumer protections because if they think that the way that these are being implemented are harming consumers as a whole. I don't necessarily agree with that perspective, but that's why governments are even looking into it.
is it a consumer protection to just say you can't sell this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or is it a consumer or like that's less of a consumer protection and more of just a sanction on what you can and can't do as a company?
Welcome to the
consumer
government.
A consumer protection would be something like, okay, you have to make sure that whoever is buying these are over 21. And granted, that would be much more difficult to police, but that would be a protection. This is just sanctioning something that a company just flat out can't do.
Well, they do that. Okay. In the same kind of thing, it is a consumer protection to force companies to post loot tables.
Yes.
That's still like a consumer protection, even though what that essentially is saying you can't do this without doing this. So that's still forcing them to do something.
Right. But that's saying that you are allowed to do this if you do this.
Yeah.
Whereas what Belgium has said about loot boxes is just, this is something that is illegal to sell. This is
because they view
pretty
it as
much the same
gambling,
thing as
and
it.
gambling has
Right.
different laws than other consumer products. Just
Specifically because like mental illness can force people to lose all of their money.
there are a lot of psychological considerations when it comes to gambling. So this is more of a question about if this counts as gambling, then we have to treat it like gambling. Whether or not you think it is gambling is a different question. Belgium thinks it is gambling. So in their eyes, it's a consumer protection to force them to regulate it like gambling because of the issues with gambling.
Like Zane was saying, because of the fact that it's the fact that they're trying to watch over children, they're trying to keep like the gambling addiction from getting to them through loot boxes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like they're trying to keep it from kickstarting what would essentially become a gambling addiction.
Right. And like I said, I don't think that loot boxes are gambling on like a legal and technical basis. So I don't really have an issue, legally speaking, with them selling loot boxes.
Right.
I just think loot boxes are shitty at this point. And
I agree.
I
think loot boxes are shitty. I'm not saying that people should sell loot boxes. I'm saying that people should be allowed to sell loot boxes and shoot themselves in their own foot.
Well, yeah, but there's still... I mean, I agree with you. I think that this scenario should be regulated by consumers. We should free market regulation it. Like, I don't think that loot boxes do enough harm, even potentially to children. Although I guess we don't really have solid studies on that or whatever. But I don't think it. I think it probably doesn't do enough damage to warrant government intervention in this case, especially since the tide is turning against it anyway.
Right.
That being said, other people might disagree with me and might think that it should be handled this way, and so that's why we're going to get into these arguments. The reason why this is important with Belgium is if more and more countries start to look at it this way, then it might end up putting pressure on other markets to look at it this way. Especially Belgium. Belgium is notable because it's essentially the seat of power for the European Union. So Belgium in particular is a problem because it could have rippling effects through Europe. So
Right.
If Germany outlawed loot boxes, it'd basically be fucking over for all of Europe. And Germany already has like super strict video game laws.
Actually, they reduced a lot of them because now they consider I think that was a story we talked about not that long ago. But they
I remember that.
They're now viewing video games as art forms, so that you can put swastikas in them again.
Oh, good.
Although that might change the ratings for them.
Yeah.
But locally, but I don't know. But like I don't know. Wolfenstein was gonna get an M anyway.
Yeah.
Because you blow off Nazis' faces.
Or Peggy 18 or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, even they still actually toned back the gore. I remember Left 4 Dead, they weren't allowed to have bodies.
Oh yeah, it was like that in Australia too.
You know what? With Team Fortress 2, my favorite thing was what they were supposed to do. What they've done for video games in the past is just change the enemies into robots. But they decided with Team Fortress 2 that wasn't right because that would also imply that you were a robot. They didn't want the player to be a robot. So instead of exploding into gory bits, in Germany, they would explode into like confetti and party bits, and like the health packs you dropped would be candy and stuff.
Yeah.
And they were essentially kind of making fun of the law in the first place. But that got to be such a popular thing that most servers just enabled that in like server side. So even American hosted servers would have like,
and I've seen that all the time too. Yeah.
I love it.
Sometimes you see just the health packs being cake and not the people exploding in confetti.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a thing that you get if you put on the Pyrovision goggles.
Oh yeah, that's right too. They did that too. Let's move on.
Sure.
Because loot boxes.
We're getting away from loot boxes anyway, so let's move
on. Cyberpunk 2077.
Got a 48-minute walkthrough.
Damn.
The walkthrough was fun to watch.
Yeah.
In a really weird, like, usually gameplay itself isn't like the most compelling thing, but it was wonderful. It was great to watch. It had some fantastic world building and fun characters.
And that's what the first.
This is a fucking
the first hour of the
trailer of the game.
It doesn't look like it might not be the first hour, but it is an hour early on.
Yeah, it's
one of the things that I think I'm most excited for is how alive the world looked.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're like, I don't know if they would put that much work into placing that many.
No, actually, they
parts into.
See, I saw a thing about this specifically on the like NPCs in the world. They're doing the simulation kind of thing where all the characters have different like routines
like
and stuff.
Cycles.
So,
right.
So you get a lot of characters that will be in kind of relatively the same areas because they're on their routine, and they might change it up on different days depending on what that character has to do on that day. So if a character like just doesn't go to work on Tuesdays, then the character won't be there if you're walking through the crowd that day.
Right. Which is fucking cool as hell.
I love shit like that.
What I was gonna say was a lot of times when they show trailers like this, it's all bullshit, and then there will be like 4 characters walking around in the actual game. But I don't know why they would have put that much work into making it, because it was obvious, like you could see the person playing fuck up half the time. So like it was obviously a real gameplay demo.
Well, and I've seen multiple
I don't know why
of
they
these.
would put that much work into the system for just bull shots. I think it's like that's how it's gonna be.
Oh yeah, I don't. Well, I think that happens less now actually than it used to. Like
People got pissed.
because people actually care about that quite a bit now.
Yeah.
Even before Watch Dogs, that was starting to like
Yeah.
chill out,
Yeah.
and then Watch Dogs certainly didn't help that. So, like, I usually will take trailers at face value for the most part, although, you know,
It might look a little
depending
less
on
good on your rig because they're
Right.
using fucking supercomputers, but
well, it'll look good on my rig.
yeah, you know.
But yeah, and actually, I've seen multiple different versions of this trailer because they did this. A lot of different places got footage of this, and there are places where like it's obvious that it's gameplay because the characters do different things, like and that NPCs do different things, like So I don't know. It's really interesting, and just the way that they talked about the different ways you can do, like the same mission, kind of like, you know, Deus Ex did this to some extent, but it seems like they are putting more effort into varying the different paths that you can take, and coming off of like the Witcher 3 series, like you can kind of, or the Witcher 3 specifically, you can kind of see where they're the kind of developer who will take an idea and then push it to its logical extreme.
Right.
And so if they're taking that concept from Deus Ex, which is one of my favorite things about that game, Mankind Divided specifically, or
the
Human Revolution.
Human Revolution. Yeah.
The original Deus Ex also had that in droves.
Well, it was more designed in Human Revolution, though, I think. Whereas like Deus Ex, the original Deus Ex was very simulationist, which is also really good, and I love that in games. But Deus Ex, almost to its detriment, made very specific paths that you could take. Like you take a few different paths. But they designed around it, so there were never situations where there was only one path because they thought about that like a lot.
Yeah.
Like this, taking that to its logical extreme and making sure there are a lot of different like story paths, even like you know, having the ability to like bribe a character, or you know, buy the thing yourself and give it to him, or talk to this other person to get the thing to talk to him. Like I love that stuff.
That was just one example of one mission. Like they even said at the end of the trailer, well, what if we hadn't gone and talked to that FBI agent? She wouldn't have given us the money, but then we could have bought it ourselves. But if we bought it ourselves, the whole scenario wouldn't have blown up. Like we wouldn't have knocked out the lights. So would these guys have even fought us? Maybe they would have gotten mad at us in the first place. If we had done this, then that.
Or you could get the money and then try to take him down, or try to take him down on your own, and then kept the money. Except the next time you put it into something, it fucked everything up there.
Yeah. And then the corpo would have been pissed.
Yeah.
So
like,
yeah, I don't know. So it's and I have a lot of faith in this developer, CD
Projekt Red is an incredible developer.
So I have a lot of faith in this developer in being able to meet the expectations of what they're saying. So
also, one of the things they said a long time ago was, we are putting more focus into the story, the character interaction, than we are the combat.
But the combat looks fucking baller.
And then when they showed the fucking combat, woo, buddy, that looked fucking incredible.
I think that what they were saying was more that they are like the RPG aspects are first, and you can kind of see that because people are actually in places complaining about how spongy the human characters were sometimes, and the damage numbers, and some people didn't like that because it is an RPG first. So I kind of get what they were trying to say, but yeah, the combat looks great to me. So
another thing, one other thing that I thought people were dumb about for complaining about was that the world looks it doesn't look as much like Blade Runner as they would like. Like,
fuck you.
As a huge fan of Blade Runner, I'm completely fine with this.
Because
it
Blade
looks
Runner
very much like Transmetropolitan.
Not every single fucking cyberpunk thing has to look like Blade Runner.
Well, it does take Blade Runner influences, but if they just made it Blade Runner, that would be boring as hell, because the point of Blade Runner was that there was like a sprawling, exactly the same looking place, and if you played that in a video game, it would be a really boring environment to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you would get lost, yes.
Yeah, again, they're really focusing on the punk part of the cyberpunk, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
Which is great.
This was another sort of controversial thing that I heard. That doesn't bother me, but I want to. Well, I don't know. I have mixed feelings on it. Some people are complaining that this game is only first person, rather than having the option for third person.
There was a scene where you were driving the car in third person.
Except cars. No, cars are the one thing where it would be third person. But for the most part, especially when you're like shooting stuff, you have no option to go to third person mode, and you have to play it in first person. How do you guys feel about that?
That doesn't bother me at all.
I'm gonna be 100% real, and you guys can call me a fucking asshole for this. And people will definitely call me a fucking asshole for this. I played all of Grand Theft Auto 5 in first person.
Okay.
I don't think
with
that
Grand Theft Auto
call
specifically, you're an asshole. Fuck you. But
I don't think you're an asshole. I
play Fallout in first person. I play melee weapons in Fallout in first person, and nobody does that. Nobody plays Fallout in first person at all.
I play Fallout in first
Actually,
person.
I think most people play Fallout in first person.
No, most people play it in third person, I guarantee you. Every gameplay video you watch of Fallout, people are playing in third person.
I don't think so, because Skyrim is the same way. Skyrim and Fallout, most people play in first person, I think, because it's easier to interact with things. But
also, the reason I play in first person, of course, is because of my immersions.
Yeah, that's what I like, the fact that it's locked to first person. Like it's supposed to be an immersive experience. If they feel that adding a third person mode would make it less immersive, then that goes against their design decisions. So
here's the argument, though.
Okay.
Because it's a game where you customize your character and you can completely change the look based on how you want, and then you only get to see your character in cutscenes. The argument kind of goes, it's like you're not getting either. You don't get to see your character that often, and it breaks your immersion anyway by showing you your character in third person in cutscenes all the time. So go ahead.
No, I do understand that a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, it's still like when I'm walking around the city freeform, that's really where I want the immersion, right?
Right.
In like the part where it's like telling me a story, it's like I can be slightly disconnected from the good story that they're telling me. But while I'm walking around in the city, like it was like Grand Theft Auto 5. When you're walking around in the city and sort of like breathing in the world that they created, that's when I want the good immersion stuff, you know?
Yeah, and I think on top of that, I think the scale is really interesting when you're in first person. Go ahead, Dawson.
Right. It feels different. So like when you're in a cutscene, right? I feel like for me, this might be different for other people. Obviously, it is because of the complaints. But for me, when you're playing a first person game, you go into a cutscene and it shows your character talking, like from a third person perspective or a second person or whatever you want to say. It doesn't feel that disjointed, because you know that is your character, because in the previous segment you were just doing those things. You were playing as that character, and while you were controlling the character, that's where it's important to be immersed in what you're doing. During the cutscenes where your character just says things or the story is being delivered to you, it's not as important to be immersed as that character.
I guess I see what you're saying, but I think that, like, really the argument against what you're saying is like Half-Life.
Right.
So Half-Life all the story was delivered in first person, and that like I think it's all like for some people, and this isn't even me necessarily, I'm just playing devil's advocate, but
right.
For some people I think that they want consistency. If you're going to make it first person, you might as well just stay first person. And if you're going to show the character in third person, like it would be nice for some people to give you the option to play in third person.
Right.
For me, I have mixed feelings about this. Generally, I do prefer shooters in first person. And I think that especially in this game, it makes sense to be in first person because there's a lot of like detail in the environment that you would miss if you're in third person, just because of like how zoomed in it is and how big everything is and that sort of thing. Yeah. So I do like it to play games like this in first person, and like even if I had the option, I would probably play most of the game in first person. But I do understand also that it would be cool, especially if you're like walking through crowds and in non-combat areas, to see yourself be part of the crowd and be, you know, be able to look at your character, how they relate to everyone else, and kind of, you know, be in that environment.
Right.
So I get the argument, and I have mixed feelings about it, but I would rather it be locked to first person than locked to third person.
Yeah.
Right.
If there was an option for either, I'd be happy with that, and, you know, with mods, that might come anyway. But I don't know. I feel like I could take it or leave it.
For
but I'm not
either,
gonna
I would
complain.
stay in first person the whole time.
Yeah, same.
That's how I feel about it. So, like, for me, I don't need the option. I'm not going to use third person.
This game, anyway about it, and one thing I probably should mention is, like, the people that I know, at least that I was talking about, are like a small minority of people who are complaining about this. Most people are super hype about this shit because it looks beautiful. It's gosh darn.
Well, I don't even think that people... I don't even know if this is a complaint, per se.
It's more of a...
It's like a discussion, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't mind having this conversation about, like, what,
what absolutely.
perspective we should be in.
Agree.
I
just want to point out this, like, this isn't a game that we're like the minority in thinking that this looks good. Like,
right.
everyone's pretty much on the same page that Cyberpunk looks fucking great. And if you haven't watched the trailer, it's just fun to watch. Like, I've seen it like 3 times now. I watched it with Dawson and Megan, and then I watched it on
did
my own.
make fun of the announcer, though.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah.
But
There's
that's also
explained, like, there were points in time where there was a guy...
There's a cutscene.
Yeah.
There's a cutscene, right? And they're like, "Oh no, she's blanking. We have to plug in the jack and make sure she doesn't blank to get rid of the virus so that the emergency response team will come get her." And then they do that, and then it zooms out, and the announcer's like, "So what we've just done is plugged in the jack and made sure that we got rid of the virus so that the emergency response team could come and get her." And it was like, they literally said that word for word in the cutscene. Why did you need to explain that to us?
I watched a different trailer that voiced over a lot of that stuff. So
okay.
So I didn't really have that same experience.
Yeah.
There was
there was one point where he like uses a bunch of high level abilities. It's like, now we're going to be unlocking the abilities of a high level character. It's like, okay, yeah, that is something I didn't know that wasn't explicitly explained to me 3 seconds before you said it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, that made a lot more sense to say.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, I guess I could see the argument that, you know, if you want to break your own immersion by playing in third person, I could see letting people do that if they wanted to, but the problem is that it's more simple, or it's more complicated than ticking a box, because you have to make sure that the environments can handle that. Because if you're in a lot of tight corridors all the time, which it looks like you are quite a bit, not like in corridor, like not like Call of Duty-esque, but I mean like literally in a hallway, right? Then you have to fuck with the camera and do like clipping masks, but that make it not look awful. So it takes a lot of work to actually do that.
Right. Yeah.
So I can see why they did first person, just because it's probably a lot easier.
What I think is more so going on, like ease of use is probably a factor, ease of creation is probably a factor, but I think that they just want the game to be experienced in first person, because the developers' vision for a game, especially with a studio like CD Projekt Red, they probably want to stick to their vision of how the game is going to be played.
I mean, like, first of all, I don't care about that. Ultimately, I would like rather have what I want the game to be than caring what the developer says. Like, because it's different from a movie, right? Like, there's a difference between, you know, viewing it how it's meant to be viewed and playing something how it's meant to be played, because ultimately I'm the one I have to actively interact with something, so I don't give a shit what they care about. Like, I want to play it how I want to play it, right?
Right.
So first of all, I just don't think that's like that great of an argument anyway.
But you're also the type of person who will always check the absolute hardest difficulty with permadeath in every roguelike, because that's how roguelikes are meant to be played in.
Yeah, but and that's my choice. but I don't think they should necessarily force people to do that. Like that's what I'm saying. Like if I want to do that, then I should have like I could see that. I don't know. Like if it's not hard for them to do, then just let me do it. I guess.
Right.
This is kind of a different issue because they have to like it would take a lot of time investment or whatever. But like if people want to break their own if they want to break their own immersion, do it. Also, you know, I played Witcher 3, and I don't think that being able to see the back of Geralt's head broke my immersion in the game either. So, I don't know. I totally lost where I was going with that, but...
I'm sorry.
But yeah, I don't know, like... It's just... I don't know. Maybe there are times where I would like to see my character, but it's not that big of a deal to me.
Whenever you undress.
Well, they have cutscenes for that, so don't you worry your pretty
Yeah, they
little head
definitely
about that,
show
dolls.
boobs.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, there's a boob. There's one boob in the trailer.
Maybe they'll give you a camera and you can take like selfies of your character with the backgrounds.
Good.
How the hell come this game makes me want to go back and play like 3 different games? It makes me want to replay the Deus Ex Human Revolution, fucking Grand Theft Auto 5, and The Witcher 3. Goddamn.
You know, I own Mankind Divided and I've never played it.
Same.
I sort of heard it was not great when it first came out, so I was kind of toned down on the buzz, so I didn't get it. I didn't jump to it right when it happened. But at the same time, it's just I haven't felt the need to like ever pick it back up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's our thoughts on Cyberpunk 2077. I just wanted to like kind of go through that because
it looks fucking phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely
people are having a lot of
day one
stuff. Let's kind of rapid fire some of what we have left though. Why don't you talk about Subnautica?
Okay,
Below
so
Zero?
the standalone expansion for Subnautica called Subnautica Below Zero is coming out. Essentially what you're doing in Subnautica Below Zero is it is a side story to the game. It takes place after the events of the initial game or maybe before where I'm not really sure on the details yet, but essentially you are a science expedition that has been sent to the planet 2X415b Zebes or whatever the fuck it's called. And you are there to research this planet. So it must take place after, or else you would just be shot out of the sky. Spoilers. And it takes you go to like this Arctic continent. So they have to create a whole bunch of new environments and stuff. It looks really good. There's a little trailer out for it. They're making a whole bunch of new vehicles and stuff. So it just looks really cool. Just new Subnautica content to explore and work with a new story. If you were into Subnautica's story, I was kind of into it, but I liked the gameplay and the scare factor more. So I think exploring like an Arctic underwater environment is something that I don't think many games, even underwater games, have really done a lot of. So it should be really fun. And Subnautica is a great, like, it's probably the quintessential experience for underwater video game.
That's because most are bad.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. They put so much work into the fact that you're underwater all the time because that's the whole game.
Speaking of underwater, you know the guys who made Depth made a
The shark.
made
battle
an
royale
underwater diver battle royale game.
Oh, they did? Oh, no.
You don't play as the
Yeah.
shark, you play as the diver.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay because they made a shark ARPG, so you know what? That's fine with me.
they're making a shark.
I don't think that's the same company, but yeah.
Are you sure? I could have swore it was the same guys who did Depth. I could have swore that's what they advertised it as.
Yeah, I think they said from the creators of Depth, and they said because people loved playing as the shark so much, we just made a whole game where you're the shark.
I
think it
think
is,
that's
man. I
what
don't
you
know.
guys were saying that you would like about it, but I don't think that's. I don't. I think I remember specifically seeing that it wasn't made by the same company, but I don't remember now for sure. Do you even remember what that game was called?
No.
No, I do not. Hold on a second. I can see if I can't find it.
Maneater.
Maneater, alright.
Oh no, it was made by Killing Floor devs.
Oh, really?
So it's
alright.
totally not the same company.
Interesting. Huh. Okay.
But Depth is making a Battle Royale instead, so,
Okay.
But don't
Yeah,
worry,
but
Fel, you'll get your ARPG.
Yeah, I'll still get my Killing Floor Shark ARPG.
In the interest of speed, Subnautica Below Zero looks good. It's a standalone expansion, which means that you do not have to have the base game to play it.
I love when devs do that.
I would
Yeah.
like everybody to go play the base game of Subnautica right now because it's fucking great. But
Unless you think survival games are shit.
barely a survival game. It's a horror
It's
game.
still a survival game. Also, it's not a horror game.
I disagree.
Yeah, that's because you're afraid of the ocean. If I'm not afraid of the ocean, I don't think it's that scary.
But there's monsters in it, and they scare you.
There's fish in it that look weird.
That look like monsters and will eat you.
I'm not that afraid of it.
Okay.
I'm more spooked by supernatural stuff.
It's an atmospheric.
Actual things that can kill me, those are just normal.
Oh, actual things that can kill me, I deal with that every day.
Well, I'm not afraid of sharks, and sharks are just as likely to kill me as a bunch of the stuff in Subnautica.
Okay, but I wasn't afraid when I was playing a diver in depth. I was afraid that the other player would kill me. I was afraid that something would pop out and eat me in Subnautica because of the atmosphere. And that's where
I don't think it's a horror game.
It's an atmospheric type of horror game.
I'd say it's atmospheric. I think your mileage may vary on the horror. But anyway, let's move on.
Okay.
Switch.
Okay. What about
it is sold 5 million units in Japan, so it's catching up to the PS4's 7 million units total.
Wow.
Which means it's quickly catching up and might end up surpassing the PlayStation 4, even though the PS4 got a 3-year head start.
And becoming the best-selling console of all time? Is that what it is, or?
No, because I don't think the PlayStation 4 has beat the PS2 yet.
I see.
And the PS2 is the best-selling console of all time, so.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it did 7. So PS4 has been on track to pass it. Or no,
But Switch is catching up faster.
Yeah, right. So, actually, no, I think it was more than 7 because PS4 is at 7 now, so I think it must be like 9 or something. I don't know.
Not bad.
So yeah, and Nintendo Switch kicking ass. Monster Hunter update.
Yes. If you are still experiencing connectivity issues with Monster Hunter, they are still working to address it. It looks like they've addressed a lot more of the issues. They've readjusted the matchmaking function again. This is the 4th time that they've readjusted how the matchmaking works to make it better. They've also removed the little they think they've nipped it in the bud, the little error that when you just search for a matchmaking session, you just get kicked offline. And it apparently they fixed an issue where that would kick players offline after having joined a session, which was the one that we were experiencing the most.
Yeah, that happened to us a couple. I wouldn't say the most, but that happened to us a few times. I think the one that happened to us most was that
we just couldn't join each other. Period.
Yeah, I don't know. It was flashing people coming on and offline all the time.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad one. So yeah, it looks like they're working really hard to get rid of these connectivity issues, which is great. And honestly, after the first patch, I kind of stopped experiencing most of the connectivity issues. I could even join quests that previously would just be like, failed to join quest over and over again. I haven't gotten that even since the first connectivity fix. But I know that a lot of people are still experiencing it, so it's good they're continually working on it, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, when I typed the title of this, I wrote Monster Hunter Hunter on accident.
Monster Hunter Hunter.
My favorite.
So,
anime.
like monsters, then.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
All right, so
Beetlejuice specifically.
the Devil Joe. All right, so that's it for us this week. Let's just talk about some of the stuff we're doing. Fel just came out with a Hollow Knight video last Friday. If you're watching this, you've probably seen it already. Let's be real.
Oh, you've seen it twice. Like, goddamn, there's like a fuck ton of views on that motherfucker. It's crazy. We are getting tons of shit on that. Thank
As
y'all.
Said, Bug Boy brings it in.
Bug Boy brings the dough. God damn.
Dawson, what games are you streaming this coming week?
I'm probably going to be streaming more of Path of Exile Delve. Hopefully I'll get to mapping and have some interesting content for that instead of just leveling. But I'm going very slow on it, so who knows?
All right.
Yep.
I think that's it for us this week then. Yep. We will see you guys next time. Oh, join our stuff and subscribe and like and all that junk.
Right.
We will see you guys next time, and remember, as always,
stay beautiful.